Hey, welcome back to another episode with Erin and Sarit. Turns out we are Erin and Sarit. And on this episode, on this video, on this podcast, we want to talk to you about what the heck to do when you do not believe in yourself and how to overcome that.
So, this is the part where having a supportive community or just having a support system is going to be clutch, because when you don't believe in yourself, what did you say word for word?
Just what to do when you don't believe in yourself. Like, what do I do about it? How do I learn to believe in myself?
Yeah, when you don't believe in yourself, you feel frozen and you need to be picked up. That's just the reality of it. And when you don't believe in yourself, the last thing you will want to do is go do shit, right? So
because you're like, what's the point?
Right. So you need a true friend or support system. This is where accountability buddies are clutch, right? Or having a coach is clutch, because they are committed to you. They support you by action. And, a lot of people also, when they don't believe in themselves, they have a tendency to do one of two things. Either complain all the time, Debbie Downers, victim mentality, that's just the reality.
It's everyone else's fault.
Or they don't communicate, right? So anybody who's supportive, who knows you well enough, would know that by you not saying anything, something's going on, which means it's time to go in. Or they're gonna call you on your shit, and they're gonna be like, "Hey, listen, Lisa, like, where you been at? Let's go to the gym together. Let's go work out." And then you'll probably say, "Oh, well, I don't feel like it. Oh, why? Blah blah blah." Let's do it anyways.
We should make a T-shirt with all of the random names you decide to use.
Yeah.
Gina being at the top, the head of the group.
Yeah, I was going to say Gina, but then I was like, I've used Gina a lot. We're currently in the middle of the TKC, and I've used Gina all throughout the last couple of days.
In case you don't know what TKC is, it's a 5-day challenge. But so even if you have supportive people around you, nobody can make you believe in you. So what actions can you take? Please.
No, just finish the question, and I want to answer that, because that's a really good point.
I don't remember what question I was asking.
Okay, so what actions do you need to take? This is where you need to have a support system, because what you will need to do is you will need to take action.
But what if you don't? Because there's a lot of people who don't. So you talk about when somebody has a support system. I'll talk about when somebody doesn't.
Okay.
How about that?
And the reason why you need to take action is because the only way to believe in yourself is to overcome shit. Notice the people who have the highest belief lid, right? Where you're like, oh man, they're so confident, they just exude.
What's a belief lid?
So your lid is, how high, what's your ceiling? How high you've reached, right?
When you put a lid on your peanut butter jar, what happens? How far can the peanut butter go?
Cannot go above it.
It can only go to the top. So wherever the top of your belief is you're there. It's cap.
Yeah. So when you don't believe in yourself, your level of confidence is -10. And the only way to really increase your belief lid is to stack some wins, because by stacking wins, you show yourself that you overcome things. And the best way to increase your level of belief in you is to overcome more things. That's why, the people, like I said just a minute ago, who do just exude this level of confidence, it's not like they had it easy or anything like that. They've overcome a lot of things. And because they've overcome it, once you overcome something, you know what the road looks like, right? Let's say you drive your kid to school. right? Like after your first time of using the GPS, you become familiar with the road. You're like, oh yeah, I know what the road looks like. So it's going to get me faster because I don't need to rely on the GPS. Like I know what traffic to expect at so and so time. So, you increase your belief in you by having overcome more stuff and by being familiar by the obstacles that have come your way, are coming your way, and perhaps will come your way. And that's why you need to take action, because when you don't, it's just like being on a bike. Can you just have your both feet on the pedal and be on a bike and have it not fall over?
If you're moving.
If you're moving, exactly. If you've given it momentum, you could probably get by for a couple of seconds until gravity, applies its force, and then you start to slow down, and then you are at a standstill, and then
But if you
fall
have
off.
momentum, you can put your legs out like, wee!
Yeah, exactly. So this is why I say support system who can pick you up to enforce action to the degree that you're willing. But what if you're not willing?
Okay, so if you are not, like, a lot of people I hear, they're like, I don't have anybody around me that, wants to work out, wants to be healthy, wants to do these things. And so we're going to put this in terms of actual weight loss. If you don't believe in yourself. Now, anytime it comes to the point where somebody has to make a decision to sign up for like one of our coaching programs or mentorships or something like that, they are hesitant mostly not because of money, not because of they need to think about it. It's usually most of the time because they don't believe in themselves. And so if you are not believing in yourself, for one, come back to our YouTube channel or our podcast and keep listening so that you can just get inspired. You have to seek that inspiration, and it doesn't require any physical exertion. You click some buttons on your smartphone or computer and boom, you can get inspired. Now, if you don't believe in yourself, chances are the reason for that is because you have failed at a bunch of different things. And so, because if you think about it, when we're kids, we believe we can do anything. So where does that go away? Whatever stories get input into our circuit system. Hi, Callie. As we grow up and start to experience difficulties in life, which is inevitable, everybody does, and you try something and you fail, you try, Atkins diet and you fail. You try, giving up alcohol and you fail. You try low carb, whatever, you fail. And all of those repeated failures, instead of saying, hey, I can learn something from each of those and do something different, you've just decided in your mind that like you can't do it. And when you say you can't, you won't, because your mind will stop trying. Now, when you say, how could I do it differently? Then, Callie, ma'am.
She wants to come say hi to you.
An earthquake over here.
I believe I
Hold
can.
on. I'm on a good track. If you say, how could I? Then your mind will open. It will work with you to get creative in possible ways that you could lose weight that are different than what you've already tried. So the first encouragement I want to give you is just to not say that you can't. Say, how could I? Now, the next step would be to analyze why you failed. Most people don't take this step, and that's why we just settle with, I can't. I failed 1, 2, 3 times. Why do you keep trying? Because you still want it. You still want the result. So it's worth you continuing to try. So what you have to do is say, what was it about that thing that made me fail? And don't just blame something else. Now, it could be that the method that you used, if it's, if you tried to cut out all kinds of sugar, or if you tried to eat a really strict diet or do something like that, the approach is likely something that contributed. Now, it's not only the approach's fault. So you can find one thing that was not ideal about whatever program or whatever method you used to lose weight so that you can do something different there. And then also find one thing that you didn't do well enough. Okay? And take one from each. Okay? What's something that I could have done better? What is the thing that I had a hard time with the specific program or protocol or strategy that I was trying with my nutrition or my workouts or whatever? And what can I do differently there? And then how can I behave differently? And when you have something new to try, you're re-inspired, no? Because every time a new fad diet comes out, we think, this might be the one. Why? Because it's presented something different than we've ever seen before. So we are hopeful again. So if you were to do that every time you failed at something, specifically losing weight, and chances are you have lost weight before, which means you can lose weight again. But also most of the people that we talk to and who are in our community have just regained the weight every time they've lost it. And if you can take a simple analysis, it doesn't have to be deep, of the program or strategy that you tried and say, I couldn't stick to it because of X, well, then change X. We can make this logical so that you're like, oh, bing, that makes sense. And if this is making sense to you, I want to see you in the comments. Like, what's the light bulb for you right now? Okay. Then, so you've analyzed what went wrong so that you can change it. One thing that has to do with you, because it is your fault at the end of the day. You didn't stick to it. Everything works if you work it. However, not everything is sustainable for like a happy life. Okay. And then one thing is regarding the strategy that you tried. Then all you do is take one step. So like, you're like, I'm not motivated to work out. Okay. Don't think about the workout. Who cares? Just get out of bed. Okay. You did it. Cool. Just put your shoes on. You're not even going to the gym yet. We are not going to the gym. We're just putting our shoes on. Then just be like, okay, I just got to get the key and I just got to go to the car. I'm just going to start the car. I don't even need to go to the gym. I just need to start the car. Now I just need to back out of the gym. I'm going to pretend like I'm going to the gym. I don't even need to go to the gym. I'm just going to back out of the driveway. And then your ass is going to find yourself at the gym and you're like, I'm just going to walk. I don't want to exert a lot of energy right now. I'm just going to walk. And you trick yourself. Just trick yourself and take one step at a time on the treadmill. You might even find yourself jogging. And then you get done and you're like, shit, that was good. I'm so glad I did that. And then what Sarit was saying, that's a win because you didn't want to do it and you did. And you're proud of yourself. And when you stack those one little thing at a time, people think like when I want to lose weight, it's going to be this like monumental change that I have to make. Like everything in my life's got to be different. I've got to sleep for 8 hours. I've got to wake up at 4 a.m., get to the gym. I've got to work out for 2 hours a day. I've got to make sure I meal prep for 3 hours every week. I've got to make sure I bring my little meal prep containers with my meal prep to work and eat all the boring food and say no to all the like events my friends invite me to because I'm trying not to drink and try to change 1,900 things at one time. And then you wonder why like you hate it and you don't want to keep doing it. It's because that's not the life you're used to. So stay closer to the life you're used to and gradually move from there. And you'll be surprised at what ways you can find that are still enjoyable for you to do, but don't feel like they're jerking you completely the other direction from what you're used to. Because we are creatures of habit. Your habits make up your life. Mm-hmm. And you can't expect you're going to take all these habits you have, snap your fingers, wake up one day because you have these grandiose plans and everything's going to go according to these completely opposite habits that you're trying to implement. Change one thing at a time. Just one thing. And then when you do that, you'll be like, wow, okay, I can do this. And then you're proud of yourself. And then you want to do it more because you're proud of yourself. And it feeds you and it fuels you. Then you get momentum and then you want to do it more. And then you stop thinking about like the actual pounds you're trying to lose. And you just start thinking about stacking the wins. One little win at a time. You know, they have really big Lego pieces. And they have really small Lego pieces, like the little one Lego piece.
And the Duplos.
You know, the little one and the little twos. But then they have like, the 16. They have the big old pieces, right? What if you just took all the little pieces and you just like started spreading like a real big layer on the bottom, a really big layer on the bottom, just little pieces.
That is such a good analogy.
You know, dominoes are not set up like, wow, let's just drop them and hope they all fall perfectly stacked up half of an inch apart. So when we hit the first one, they all fall into a pretty pattern. No, you put one domino, then you put another domino, then you put another domino, then you put another domino. And guess what happens? Actually, when you hit down the first domino and it knocks against the second one, it has a certain amount of force. But when the second domino hits the third domino, there's more power behind it.
It's like the bike.
And then when the third domino hits the fourth domino, there's accumulated power because it's picking up speed and momentum. It is like the bike. And did you know that a domino, I don't know the size.
I remember that we read it somewhere.
We did read it somewhere. The concept, though, is like you could take a regular small size domino and then you can double the size of the next domino. And as long as the domino before it is at least half of the size, it will knock over the next domino. And so they did an experiment where the dominoes doubled in size and it got to be like 9 feet tall, like a 9-foot tall domino or an 11-foot tall domino or something like that. And the domino before it was half of its size. And the first one, then the second one, then the third one, then the fourth one. And the last one, like boom, and it fell really slow, but it knocked it over. So it's like you can tackle really big tasks, but you have to do it from domino 1 to domino 2 to domino 3. You can't just like run full speed ahead at the last domino and try to Hulk your way through it and expect to win.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like hit us in the comments to say like what's something that you realize about yourself right now that you feel like you could make an adjustment to, or something like what is the next step for you? What is the next step? Like, is it to put on your shoes? Is it to go to the grocery store with a good intention to buy healthy food? Like, what's the next step for you? Callie wants to know.
Can I tell them what's my next step?
Nap?
Yeah. And you know what after?
What? A walk? Walk? Is it a walk?
And then do you know what after?
Eat?
Wow.
Is it eat? To eat? Fun eat?
Wow.
She said.
Listen.
She's like, you can't fool me. It's
listen,
not that
the
time.
truth is, you know, like we're living creatures and we're no different from our dogs. You know, the only difference between humans and any other creature, which makes humans literally the most powerful species on the planet ever, is the fact that we are able to consciously think.
We don't operate solely on instinct.
Right. We are the only creature that does not only operate on instinct. However, learning how to use that skill to your advantage, to literally train your mind to having more control over your actions rather than let your emotions run you, will be the thing that will literally help you to rise to the top in any single venture in your life. And, you know, with animals, they do not. Like, they're not able to choose what it is that they think about. And if you're, watching this right now and you're like, well, I feel like I can't choose what I'm thinking about. Yes, you can.
You're choosing not to choose, which is a choice.
The problem is that you already blocked yourself just by hearing the words that came out of your mouth. Because if you say things like, I can't, or this and that, that's it. Like, your brain is not even going to think about how the heck can I.
You've just given your brain a command to not.
So the problem is because we're not taught these things. Most people are literally, they have their brains washed by negative commands that makes their minds a liability. If you're undisciplined, your mind is a liability. If you're disciplined, your mind is an asset, because you will be able to get anything. Now, if you do not know how to control your mind, you are not disciplined.
Hold on. And how do you gain an asset? You invest in it. Mm-hmm. You invest your resources. You spend time trying to better yourself. You use your energy to respect yourself. For some people, you use your financial resources to hire a coach or somebody to help you through this. That's another thing too, is we often think, you said it this morning, I should be blank. Who said? I should have lost 5 pounds by now. Who said? How do you know? I think you should be exactly where you are. For some reason, I'm a big believer that everything happens on purpose, and it's our job to figure out what that purpose is and what we need to learn in that situation to grow from it and to move forward. And what happens when we say, like, I should be blank, it's like now you're a disappointment to yourself, because you've made up this idea that you should be somewhere that you're not. And you're the only one that made it up. And what happens is, or why that happens, is because you've compared yourself to where somebody else is at. And you think that you should be where they're at. For whatever reason. Because you work as hard as they do, or because you put in the hours that they do, or because you work out as many days as they do, or because you meal prep like they do. I should be where they are. You're not them. Whoever they are. You should be exactly where you are, and it would benefit you the most to figure out why you're there and how to move forward.
Yeah.
One thing is guaranteed. If you keep trying, eventually you will succeed. The problem is, if it doesn't happen in the timeline you want it to, you quit on yourself. And guess what? When you quit on yourself, is guaranteed to never happen. So the best thing that you could do for yourself is to just keep trying. And the best way to go about continuing to try in a way that gives you hope that you can actually succeed is to try something different if it didn't work the last time.
Yeah.
Right?
And back to what I was saying, like, we have one difference between animals. Like I said, we can consciously think. Callie cannot. However, we're just like animals in the sense that, like, we want
love.
We all want love. We all want to be loved. We all want to love somebody else or something else. We also were designed to be in motion, in constant motion through our life. Like Callie, like, yes, right now, like she is.
She's resting.
She's resting. After that.
Talking to me?
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
After that, we're going to do that thing where we go on a WALK. And after that, we're going to do the other thing where we're going to EAT. So, like, for you too, like, you flow through your life. Most people only flow to their job and they come back to be numb. Doesn't have to be this way, but you have to make, number one, a conscious choice, and number two, you have to make a conscious effort. And we also live in this society that tells us that everything is going to be easy, and I think that's why,
and happen fast.
Yeah, and that's why it sets a lot of people up for failure because they think that they should be somewhere else. And if they're not there yet, then that thing is probably not for them. And because the most amount of effort is required at the beginning, like instead of putting more time, energy, and effort into the whatever your body that you're working on, whatever it is that you're working on, you stop yourself. So you never build enough ammunition to roll into that momentum. So you're always in a, like, all the effort, give up. All the effort, give up. No, like effort is also a buildup. Like just like your car, it cannot go from 0 to 100.
Without hitting 1, 2, 3, 4.
Right, like it's got to go from like 0 to 10 to 20, and the same thing goes for you. But for some reason, when we're like, okay, I want to change something, because most people do it living their life unconscious for the most part, they only attempt to do something when they're in a lot of pain or when something catastrophic happened, and now they want to get rid of it. Dude, if you gained 50 pounds, that shit did not happen overnight. It happened over the span of, at the very least, a couple of years. So be diligent and, put in the effort and work on literally one sub habit at a time. Like not even one habit at a time. Like nutrition is a massive category. I will literally tackle one element of nutrition and will only progress someone only if they've shown me through action that they passed their mark within 7 days. Otherwise, you're not ready for it. You think you might because right now all you're thinking about is the pain. But what happens a couple days afterwards where, like the pain of the mundaneness feels greater than the other pain? You go back to your old ways because your mind still thinks the same way. It takes time to rewire our brain. It really does. Anybody who tells you, oh, it takes 21 days to build a habit or whatever, no. However, here's what I can tell you. The more disciplined you are, the faster it will tell you to create you will be able to make a habit because you know how to control your mind.
21 days can give you good momentum.
Yeah.
And on your way to building a habit. But there's plenty of people who've gone to the gym 21 days and then stopped. It happens every January through February.
January through end of January.
And then if you've gained 60 pounds, then you gained every pound on the way up to that too.
Oops.
Yeah, what's going on over there? And the last thing you mentioned, like most of the energy is exerted in the beginning. Mm-hmm. When you think about, let's go back to the dominoes for just a second, and then we'll wrap this up. But which part takes longer? Knocking the dominoes over or setting them up? You need to set yourself up to succeed, and it's worth taking the time to do that because it's beautiful when you get going. Unfortunately, people get so impatient, they set up 2 dominoes and then they knock them over and they're underwhelmed with the results. Well, all you set up was 2 dominoes. Take a little bit more time. Give yourself that setup. Give yourself that structure, the foundation, the fundamentals. Get good at the fundamentals. Michael Jordan was one of the best basketball players to live. And one of the reasons is because he never stopped practicing the fundamentals.
Yeah.
Because it needs to become a muscle memory. Mm-hmm. It was weird for me to only go for a walk this morning because I'm so used to doing more than that. I had breast surgery a few weeks ago. I couldn't work out for about 2 weeks. It was extremely weird for me, and I didn't know what to do with myself because I'm so used to working out at a certain time of day that when I didn't, it was bizarre. Mm-hmm. A habit is something that you do habitually without thought. Most people don't give themselves enough consecutive days to make it an action that they do without thinking about it.
Yeah.
You still have to make yourself do it. You still have to force yourself to do it. You still have to really try. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with being like, oh, I'm going to force myself to go right now. Because in the beginning, you are setting yourself up to succeed by doing the work that is not sexy. Setting up the dominoes is not sexy. Knocking them over is fucking awesome. But you can't knock over what you don't set up.
That's right.
Anything else?
Callie has a song to sing. She heard the word underwhelmed.
Better to be overwhelmed than underwhelmed. Better to be overwhelmed than underwhelmed.
And everything is easy for me.
No problem.
Problem.
No problem.
No problem. No problem, everybody.
No
Just
problem.
go do it. No
Have
problem.
a Callie attitude.
And if you're feeling overwhelmed, remember, it's better to be overwhelmed than underwhelmed. Callie,
you are so wise.
You are a genius. Philosopher
wise.
Callie there.
All right, you guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video or this podcast episode. If you are listening on podcast, can you please go rate and review the show if you really enjoyed it? Let the world know about it. If you're watching this on YouTube, what's up, my people? Hit the like button, the share button if somebody else needs to hear this, and the subscribe button and the notification bell if you want to be notified when we drop new videos, which is usually on Mondays and Thursdays. But I don't expect you to remember that. So just hit the notification bell and it will remind you. That's it, guys. We're peacing out.
Take care, everybody.